Welcome to the Nexus Unloaded podcast. This is Will Crozier.
And I'm Nikki Westcombe. We are the founders of Nexus Performance. Joining us on this wild ride is our heavyweight coaching team, ready to unleash their expertise to solve any problems in your journey to getting strong and jacked.
Through our real-world experience, we hope to break things down in a digestible, applicable, and entertaining way.
So pump up the volume and let's get into this.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Nexus Unloaded podcast. This is episode 4, season 1. We're up to now. Very fancy. I'm up to date with all this shit. This is the difference when we have things planned, Will, versus how we used to do things and you had no idea what the fuck was happening most of the time.
Yeah. I mean, the pros and
You
cons.
still
Pros
don't
and
know
cons.
what's going on most of the time. But
we won't list them out. We'll just, pros and cons each side. Yep.
We only take positive feedback. So we have got a special guest on today, Mr. Geordie Collins, who was introduced in episode 1 as our new business partner coming in for the Nexus Melbourne facility that we have been pretty overwhelmed by with response so far. It's been some pretty good feedback. Jordan, myself, spoke a little bit about you in episode 3 as well, and talked a little bit about kind of what we've got going on with the Melbourne space. But we kind of wanted to give you the opportunity, of course, to introduce yourself for those that don't know you. But I'll first let you say hello.
So rather than just business, what did you say? Business partner?
Yes.
I don't know. Manager, head coach, doer of things, cleaner, probably all that stuff at
Desk,
Nexus
gym.
Melbourne.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just all the jobs.
Yeah, probably everything.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot of hats.
Yes.
More hats.
Yes. A lot more hats than I used to. So this is something new for me, for
But
sure.
Trust me, there's
You've-
unexpected hats coming.
Yeah.
You've worked in a
I'm-
gym before, though, so
Yes.
it's not like you haven't been in a similar sort of position. It's just very different when you're coming in as an owner,
Yeah.
And operator rather than just kind of operator, I suppose. So you kind of come in with a slightly different lens of how you look at things. When I find a lot of people when they're just kind of employees, they're like, "Oh yeah, cool," and then
Yeah.
when you're like, "I'm like, I own this place. This is like my baby. This is my home." You feel like there's a little bit more kind of investment with things.
Way more feeling attached to it,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, you can start, I don't know, if
Yeah,
this is on the list,
so-
but you can start there and just go like, why did you, I know, like Mickey said, you worked previously in gyms, but like what makes you want to be part of a gym?
I think I've been saying it for like 8 years now that I've wanted to be a gym owner. And I think I've been working in gyms for about 9-10 years. And it's just, I've always loved facilitating culture, being around the people in it, and just creating communities. And I think I've done that pretty well in the past as well, with gyms I've worked at in the past. And then also, obviously people would know I've worked at Apex for quite a while as well. And I've just wanted to be able to create my own space, but I've also
I feel like you've done that though in the online, but it's just not quite the same.
It's not the same. It's just because obviously it's just you're creating an actual physical group of people that you can see the way that they interact and how that changes. And it's just even simple things like this is how my mind works. Is I overthink stuff a lot, but that is to my benefit at times. But even just facilitating conversation between people, you can tell somebody's just off in a corner by themselves, and just you can create a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships that last a long time through that. And I get a lot of reward out of that as well.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of passion around that and just creating really just cohesive spaces for people in which they feel comfortable and they feel like they're in a community. And I really, I've felt that in other spaces I've been in, but now just being kind of obviously the guy on the floor making the decisions and everything. Now I have, to be able to create that culture from scratch as well. And obviously having the Nexus brand behind me as well. I've always loved the culture that you guys have created. I've got a lot of respect for the brand, obviously, being in the mentorship multiple times now and everything as well. And it was kind of a no-brainer for me as well last year when I after working towards it for a long time, saving up the money and all that kind of stuff, which obviously there are expenses that come with a gym. Yeah.
As you're coming to find.
Yeah, it can be a little bit stressful at times for sure. But as soon as I kind of got to that point, I'm like, okay, I have what I need right now. Where I'm going to go from here. Nexus was kind of the first thing that actually came to mind. It was either that or I went off and did my own thing. And it was because I've always respected the brand a lot. I've loved what you guys have done with the brand, how you've built it, and the kind of the culture that you guys have created. And I feel like my old coaching business now, Plate Lords, I created a very similar culture that I feel like works really well with the Nexus culture as well.
Yeah.
So to me, that was just a no-brainer. And then also having the support of you two, which just clearly just turned out to be great, because honestly, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing for the most part without you two.
We still don't either. That's the secret. That's the secret nobody knows. Is that like we're just fucking things up here, fucking things up there.
We learn
working
along
it out.
the way.
Yeah, absolutely. More prepared for this than previous, clearly. You'd hope so. But still, so much unknown.
Definitely, but I think it's just I'm not having to go through that massive kind of trial and error period as much as I would have if I had gone out and done this on my own.
Yeah.
And
we also have a lot of resources and people that we can network as well with if there's other things that we haven't experienced in the like even
we're in the Hustler studio right now at Hustler Gym in Melbourne. Shout out to Supers and Anthea for letting us use it today. But obviously
I think
a lot of connections.
We've been obviously Nexus has been around since 2014, so we've been doing this for over a decade now. That and just being in the powerlifting community, you know a lot of people, and I think that's just like you mentioned the community and the culture that we've created just as the brand, but I feel like it's just the relationships that we've fostered over those many, many years as well. You can kind of connect and reach out to people when you need help, and you just like, even just small little things. It's like, oh, hey, what's going on with this? I'm not entirely sure. Oh, and we're like, oh, actually, we've got a guy that can help you with that. You know, like, or I know a guy, go reach out to this guy. And then that guy's like, oh, actually, I know a guy, and he'll like, even just talking downstairs to Jace today, he's just like, oh yeah, like I've got a guy that can help you out with all those things that you'll need for your gym that's in here in Melbourne that we might not even have the resources to. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, like powerlifting is such a small sport, and the gym ownership side of that, like everyone kind of wants to see everyone grow. Like if one gym does really well and brings 10, 20, 30 new people into the sport, that's going to help whichever federation they decide to grow into. That's going to help if they relocate to another part of town or whatever, like it helps the whole sport grow. So we never viewed this as like another business coming in to take away from anyone else. It's supporting a missing gap.
No, this is something that I know we've talked about, and I know that we see eye to eye on in that. And it's honestly where I think a lot of power quote unquote powerlifting gyms go wrong, whether you want to put yourself in that bucket or not, whatever, is that everybody seems to want to fight over the current pool of powerlifters, and no, come to my gym is better, I'll go to that gym is better, I'll go with coach, whatever. But the goal is to grow the sport and get new people into it. And it comes through exactly what you just said in the culture and the community, a welcoming space. And they walk through the door as a person who might be shit scared of the gym in general and go like, hey, I heard this place is great with the culture, but I've never been in a gym, and we've just this week in the Gold Coast, we have that exact situation. Yeah. And then I've ran through a session with them, sign up to the gym, and next minute they're telling me how, they're looking at the leaderboard and the goals board and telling me how they want to do the next comp, and
they want to get in on,
you can see that
and
see that transition.
Yeah.
Whereas, that's the real goal, not, hey, like come to my gym, powerlifters come to here, Yeah.
So we've had, obviously quite a few people now ask, like Melbourne's north. Where is Melbourne's north?
Mhm.
So I feel like we should probably give away a little bit more insight, just to keep people on their toes as to exactly where we're kind of looking. Now, obviously,
Yeah, it's not like we're withholding information because we don't have an
no,
exact location.
we've put some offers in on a couple of properties. We inspected quite a few properties and stuff like that. And we do have a ideal suburb in mind. So do you want to kind of go through that? Because obviously you know Melbourne better than we do.
Yep.
And why you think it needs it.
Yeah, why you think this area needs it.
Yeah, I think just in the north, we're kind of lacking in terms of gyms, and especially just kind of those higher caliber gyms with a really nice equipment. We just don't have that as much, especially the east out this way. You have a lot of different options.
Like you said, we're in Hustler Gym right now.
We're in Hustler Gym right now. You also have Melbourne Strength Culture. You have Emerge, and you have a bunch of other gyms that they might not be purely powerlifting gyms, but they still have that powerlifting equipment.
Yeah.
In the north, there's maybe 2 or 3 options that are actually powerlifting gyms. And especially when it comes to getting closer to the city, there's pretty much nothing. So when we're saying in the north, probably
yes,
around,
nothing's being confirmed.
Around kind of that Brunswick, potentially Coburg area. Probably leaning a little bit more towards Brunswick. But and I think, you know, rumors have been made and people are saying Brunswick and everything, and I can already tell that's creating a lot of excitement, just the fact that it is so much closer to the city, and there's nothing that close to the city right now. So it's a good point for just people, both populations of people, in terms of if you live close to the city or the CBD, even if you're living in an apartment or something, you can very easily access the gym.
Public transport and all that stuff has been a massive thing that we look into.
And it's really, really accessible, especially Brunswick in general, really accessible via public transport, and also out towards like the more northern, further out suburbs. It's also not too far for those guys too. So it's a really good sweet spot. Again, we haven't locked anything in yet, but that's like kind of why we're thinking that area. And look, just the area itself is also just a very different vibe to a lot of other areas. So it's really cool.
Walking around
yeah.
Even very training cool. At Doherty's, we're like, oh, okay, there's some unique characters in this gym walking around and stuff. But I mean, like, at the end of the day, like we said, we create that welcoming space. Like, to me, it's different to what we're used to saying, but I don't care. Like, I want people, if someone wants to come in and improve themselves and they're going to be an integral part of the community, I'd like open arms. You know what I mean? Like, if you're coming in and you're a bully or you shame people or you don't work in and share equipment and stuff, you're not going to fit in. Like, I'm sorry. But if you're someone that's coming in and is like, that's my mono, or that's my combo, that's my barbell, like that's just not the culture that we create. Yeah. You know, like everyone knows each other by name, everyone works in together and they share equipment, and they're not princesses. Like the story that I actually always use is when Will first started powerlifting. So we're talking a decade ago, where gyms like this for powerlifters like just did not exist. You know, like powerlifters now are so spoiled, really, they are. Because when Will first started lifting, like, and you know, this is a guy that was still squatting north of 300 kilos. He would go into the gym and grab the chrome bars with no knurling on them and roll them across the safeties to see which one warped less on the bar. You're like, woo, woo.
All the bent ones.
Yeah, ruling out the bent bars.
Grip strength. You know? When it has absolutely no knurling, it's you're going to build strength, grip strength.
Yeah.
So there we go. If you want to be as strong as Will Crozier, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, find bent bars in the least bent bar. But now some people will be like, oh, if it's not an Alico bar, I'm like, do you realize how much some of these barbells are costing?
Yeah.
You know, so
it's a privilege. It's not necessary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, in saying that, like, again, you talked about a high attention to detail and those sorts of things. Like, that's all stuff that we're bringing in. You know, we're bringing in the quality. We're bringing in that high attention to detail. We're bringing in some of those things. But, you know, this is obviously a new chapter for all of us as well. And so though we're coming in with a lot more experience and expertise, there's things that you'll just find, like, some people appreciate more than others. And obviously, you know, we've got the gym up in Townsville as well, and the people up there it's a different town, it's a different group, like, you know, a different sort of experience. And so everyone kind of each location has a few quirks about them that some people prioritize more than others. And that's cool. That's part of the demographic of each area. But yeah, so very excited. Brunswick has been dropped there. But obviously to be confirmed. A few people are asking when. I think they're expecting it like in a month, you know, like they're like, oh. One guy's like, I hope I can finish my prep off in here. And I'm like, whoa.
Like, we're gonna have to work real quick.
Things take time. If it never dealt with councils before, any council, they are slow.
As we found out, even getting like, you know, lawyers and legal documents,
real estates, agents, obviously
shipments
getting
of equipment.
Yeah, all that stuff takes many months.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the equipment that we've got coming in then.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we've got our Atlantis order. We've made that final fun payment of the Atlantis stuff.
Yep.
That is expected to arrive around June, possibly July, but who knows, hopefully June. So that is kind of the ideal date that we are working towards currently. But we've just said mid-year because with this sort of stuff, you never know how customs and that are going to work. And I would hate to open up with some of those core pieces missing.
Not there, yeah.
Prime is another one. But for those of you who do not know, again, this is the delay of equipment. Prime, when we ordered this, which we ordered, I want to say 2024, we finalized our order and made our payments.
In like October-ish, maybe.
It was a 60-week wait. So 16 months, something like that. Yeah, 14 months. So it's expected to get here in March 2026.
Well, they don't know.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do for nice stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, we've got other brands, Nautilus, and
got heaps of stuff.
Yeah, got heaps of good stuff coming.
Yep.
So let's get in. I got a couple of extra little bits here that, like I said, our coach Jordan actually wrote out a few little questions for you because this is, you know, you're new to the team, you're new to the community.
Yep. Thanks, Jordan.
Yeah, shout out Jordan. Yep. So she wants to know how you started as a coach and what actually got you into the industry and why.
Okay.
She's very deep into this sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Is she? Okay.
I've pretty much been obsessed with resistance training since I was about 13 or 14.
Okay.
So like the first, as you can imagine, the teenage years of training was interesting. But yeah, I've been consistently going to the gym for about 14, 15 years now. And even when I didn't know what I was doing, I was just completely obsessed with it. It was just a really good outlet for me at the time. And, you know, just with the environment in which I grew up in and, you know, what I was a part of at the time was just really good to get out of the house and away from it and everything. So I spent a lot of my time at the gym. As I kind of moved further, you know, obviously I got into my 20s and everything. I did my bachelor in exercise science, and the original goal was to go into exercise physiology.
Okay.
And at the time I was working as a, just out of a, you know, just a gym, you know, gym managing and all that kind of stuff, front of house. Yeah. And I, you know, COVID hit, lost my job, and I was like, okay, I need to make money somehow right now. So I started to branch out into the strength training side of things and coaching that way.
I was going to say like OnlyFans or something because it seems that everyone kind of went that way for a little while over COVID too.
There was a point I was thinking about it. But it's, I just need to secure some kind of income, and I started to delve into the online space and grew a little bit. And then I continued doing training like commercially at the gyms and everything as well. I'd done it beforehand, not to a huge extent. And then the further I got into strength training and coaching it, the more I just fell in love with the whole thing, and then eventually joined up with powerlifting gym, being Apex. And I just absolutely loved it. Right. Yep. So, but previously before that, I competed in bodybuilding.
Yep.
And I just found bodybuilding wasn't quite my vibe.
Will can relate.
Yeah, which is fine. Like everybody enjoys their own cultures, and this
Yeah.
isn't like a, you know, I'm not putting down
One versus
bodybuilding or
the
anything
other.
like that.
Yeah.
And like some people, bodybuilding's their vibe, others it's not. Whereas I just found like my first novice comp in powerlifting was just the culture was the main thing that just kind of grabbed me. I'm like, bodybuilding was not the type of sport where I, you know, got on the platform or the stage in bodybuilding and then walked off and you had your compares kind of slapping on your back, on the back and saying, well done. And just the huge amount of support and how positive everybody was. I just fell in love with the culture, and then from there just fell head over heels for it and started my own brand of coaching called Plate Lords, which I ran by myself for 4 years. And I think it was just, it's much more than just getting people strong. It's also seeing the confidence that provides that person. You can actually see changes in the way that they act and the way they hold themselves sometimes as well. Like I've started coaching some teenagers as well, like younger kids. Like they came in when they were 18, they're much older now, but obviously as you grow up you change. But I think a fundamental part of that for them was the strength training, giving them confidence and showing them, oh, I can do this thing, I can lift this weight, and just having that self-efficacy and seeing that raise in self-esteem, it gives me a lot of enjoyment and fulfillment as well.
So it doesn't even have to be about coaching the best people. It's just coaching people to be their best.
No, I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
I think I've made it clear to you guys as well. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care if you've just walked into a gym for the first time. I treat everybody the exact same. I don't care.
There's no strength standard.
No.
Yeah.
All I care about is, are you a good person? What are your morals and ethics like? All that kind of stuff, how you treat the people around you. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
So regardless of who
how
you
much
are,
do you like? How much effort do you put into this as well?
Yeah. And I've always, you know, tried to treat people the same way, regardless of who that person is.
Yeah.
I find more so in powerlifting that people do get treated, you know, regardless of how strong you are, you're just amongst everybody else and get treated the same. Whereas sometimes in other sports, it's not quite the same way. So like powerlifting is a bit of a unique culture in some ways.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a generalized statement. It's different amongst different cultures and stuff. Some people are prioritized above others, and you know, there's
Will
some
likes
elitism.
To put himself on a pedestal. He thinks he's king shit. But...
Oh, definitely.
But a lot of that aligns with like some of the stuff that we've even talked about in the past with like why you started getting into coaching as well, right? Yeah.
Like what with the
Well, just like giving people confidence and just getting people stronger again, and like how that made you feel when you first started getting into training and stuff like that. And you just want to have other people feel the way that you feel, like when you first started getting strong and all those sorts of things. Like it's a really rewarding sort of loop.
Yeah, I would for myself personally more on the confidence side of thing than the strength side, because I've always felt physically strong or, you know, fit and all that stuff. And
very fortunate as a kid, you were just very into sport the whole way through.
Yeah. So I haven't had a problem with like that side of things, but the confidence side was missing for a long time, which in team sports and that obviously doesn't help. I just feel like since powerlifting helped foster that in me a lot. Really, not that I'm, you know, the most outgoing person, so, like social person, I should say. It's definitely brought me out of the shell a bit. Yeah. So just seeing that in other people, because I see that in a lot of the kids, even in the gym. Yeah, our gym.
Yeah, definitely, even within our own staff.
Yeah,
like Kiva's a perfect example of someone that's come out of his shell a lot, and you just see him. Like, I mean, you've met Kiva only a couple of times, and you were even just impressed with his demeanor and his character and stuff like that.
Awesome guy. Yeah.
You know, and that's someone that we've known since he was 16, sneaking across the border and stuff like that over COVID. And you just see
in the garage gym days.
Yeah, you just see how much he's come out of his shell in just the people that you surround yourself with. It really does make a huge difference. And if you can foster and nurture those, the youth, it's really, really rewarding for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So what are your, I guess, what are some of your goals within your training, like with the business? Like, where do you kind of see this going over time?
I'll start with my training. specifically, and then I'll kind of move into the other stuff. But I think with my training, it's just getting myself back to a point in which I'm competitive. I think I kind of fell off for a couple of years. I came into the sport with a lot of injuries from football, and then when I started to come into the sport and over my first couple competitions, I'm not going to get too dark here, but just went through a really rough time, essentially. So this is a conversation for another time, but I suffer with PTSD and clinical depression. Just went through a really rough time around that period. And I think with the very, very high levels of stress, struggling with PTSD and a few other things, my body just did not handle anything well at the time. And then just over the last couple of years, in a much, much better place now than I was back then. I definitely feel like I'm willing to really start pushing again and start to focus on that. But previously, when I was competing, it was fueled by the wrong thing. I was using a lot of anger and frustration and kind of just all those negative emotions I was feeling at the time, which at the same time can be a really good outlet. Yeah.
I was going to say, so it wasn't like an outlet, it was like the driving motivator for you to do it.
Yeah. It was like
rather than like a release for it.
It was like a driving motivator. And then I was also digging stuff up almost purposely to keep me driving. So using that almost negativity as fuel. And it took me a while to realize that that's what I was doing. Like, in all honesty, like if you've seen me compete, you'd probably understand what I'm talking about.
I think you've handled him in a comp before. Yeah.
I
Was he a firecracker?
Yeah, I'm an angry boy.
Very not me.
Yeah, I'm a very angry boy. Well, that's what I used to be like anyway. But I figured this out later down the track, but I was almost purposely triggering PTSD episodes before I went onto the platform. So it was an interesting period in my life, to say the least. But over the last few years, just getting to know how to manage things a lot better, my stress levels and kind of triggers and all that kind of stuff with it, it's gotten a hell of a lot better. And just my mindset and me just being a functional human. And with that, obviously, I've come to a point in which, I can start to push further into the sport, because I feel like I never quite got to reach my full potential in the sport, which in a way helped me because I just tried to live that out through my athletes and just push them further. And I think a lot of coaches do that sometimes as well. Like they really try to live out through their clients. And I think potentially that could have been why I just fell even more in love with coaching as well, especially during a period in which, my body was in a bad state. I couldn't push my training as much myself.
I think you can relate to people better when you've walked through some of those dark places. Yeah. Right? Like definitely. You can understand and treat people with compassion when they're going through that sort of stuff. And then you're just like, hey, look, like, I'm not coming at you because like, I think that this is a problem. It's like, I've been in your shoes and this is stuff that's maybe potentially helped me, but I think, this is stuff that helped me that could potentially help you. So I'm not coming at you and I'm not suggesting these things because I think I'm above you or whatever. I'm coming at you because I'm suggesting these things because I think it's going to genuinely help.
Yeah. And that definitely, because look, I've coached some people that they've had previous coaches before. And I think those coaches just didn't know how to navigate that. Yeah. And they've come to me and they've been able to have like a really good experience and positive experience. And
it's not necessarily the past coach's fault either. It's just they're not equipped to that, or maybe they just don't like, they don't want to work. Like we've even seen some people be like, oh, I just don't work in that world. Like I work very data, very metric driven, and that's my coaching style. And that's okay. You can't blame the coach for having a style that doesn't align with the athlete's communication platforms or whatever.
At the end of the day, coaching is a very personal relationship as well. And like, you're always going to work better with somebody that, can empathize with you and you feel like they understand you and you're kind of on the same level. The same level. And I feel like a lot of the guys that I have coached in the past who, potentially other coaching relationships haven't worked out or for whatever reason, they were actually able to feel that with me. Like I was able to just be on that level playing field with them and understand them and just empathize with them is really important to them. And that also gives me a lot of fulfillment as well. It's just another way in which I can give back. Yeah. And then also help somebody that is going through similar situations to I have in the past. And when I was at Apex and I was going through my own rough time, somebody that was there for me was Anthony Kresnar, the Yeti. And, at the time I'm just looking at this guy, and, Anthony is like,
he's a big boy.
A big boy. He's a bit scary to some people.
But he's actually a giant teddy bear.
Yeah. He is the most friendly
He'll
guy.
scream and make a lot of noise, but tickle his beard a little bit, and I think he softens right up.
He's the friendliest guy ever. And just how open he was about, at the time, his own mental health. And that really inspired me. And Anthony's, helped me a lot in those, first few years, and just even having him as a role model at the time. In fact, like the whole reason I ended up with Nexus, and Anthony, if you're listening to this, you can take full credit for this, is because of Anthony. So at the time I was wanting to improve my coaching skills, and Anthony was always pointing me in the right directions, go to these people, do a mentorship with them and whatever. And he pointed me in the direction of Nexus. And then
that was back in 2021. I found these dates. 2021.
Yeah. And then did the mentorship, and then eventually obviously that led on to coaching. So this gym that's happening, it's because of you, Anthony. Shout out. But yeah, just I realized from that how important having somebody that can empathize with you, who's a role model, who can look up to in those times, how important that can be and how much that can help you climb out of that darkness. Yeah. And I've really tried to give that to my guys as well. And not only that, you don't have to be paying for a service for it. Even at Apex, I'm just trying to be conscious of people, and
just help people out.
Yeah, definitely.
So where do you see Nexus Melbourne moving forward, like over the coming years? Like what are your sort of goals? Because obviously we're all involved in this, like you're the guy on the ground floor at the end of the day, so you're the one that's really going to be like, we can nurture a lot of those sort of relationships and help you through a lot of it, but the culture is really going to kind of stem from the people that are in there more often than Will and myself. But I like to think it kind of does all sort of trickle through, and like I said, who you surround yourself with.
Let's be real, the fitness industry is flooded with coaching programs, all using the same buzzwords: comprehensive, tailored, individualized, super confusing. What does that actually mean for you? At Nexus Performance, we cut through the shit. We take the time to actually understand your struggles, what drives you, what's holding you back, and then we coach you through it. With our online strength coaching, you're not getting a templated program. Your training program is built around you. You're also going to be getting one-on-one consult calls, Loom video feedback, direct messaging for coaching cues and questions, so you know exactly what to do and how to do it. If that sounds like the support that you've been looking for, let's make it happen. Visit our website today for weekly or monthly programming support.
Yeah, where do you see like Nexus Melbourne going, and like what do you want to sort of create there?
I think honestly, I just want to go as big as possible with it, but
I think we've had to say a couple of times, like, let's start small and grow.
I think, look, I don't have anything specific in mind right now, but I just know that, number one, I want to keep on reinvesting into it and just supplying better and better and better stuff over time, and just show the members that, hey, the money that you're paying for your weekly, membership, it's actually going to something. You're seeing stuff come out of this. And when people see that, the money that they're giving, it's actually going towards something, and they can see that the space that they're in is improving, makes people pretty damn happy to be in that space and really freaking proud. So with the initial space, just to keep on upgrading it, and we're already starting off on a really, really solid base too.
Absolutely.
To make this space even better is we're gonna have to really brainstorm and figure out what brand, what equipment to get in there.
It doesn't even have to be equipment. I think, like, to me, like, it's upgrading, it's improving, the events, the competitions, the community, creating, like, not just powerlifting competitions and events, but like other things that can bring that culture and that community together. So we do like barbecues and stuff like that. We've done events outside of the gym. We do a lot of workshops. We bring other people in for workshops as well. So I know we've had like the likes of Jordan Shallow, Eugene Teo, Hattie Boydell, like some pretty big fucking industry names coming in and doing workshops and stuff out of the space. And like, that's the sort of stuff that people are like, this is really fucking cool that I have the opportunity. I'm getting first dibs on some of these things, you know,
Yeah.
like, so it's not just about like the aesthetics or the equipment. It's like the community, the opportunities, the events and that sort of stuff over time as well.
And it's just continuously just keep on trying to build that culture.
Yeah.
And just make it better and make people more cohesive as a space. And
we call it a family, right? Like it's home away from home.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, potentially in the future, just even going bigger with the space, all that kind of stuff. And again, we're talking a little bit too soon, but maybe a second Melbourne space.
Wow, that's the first I've heard of that one. But yeah, like who knows? You know what I mean? Like
I'm looking forward to just big comps and stuff down there, like an opportunity for people in that area to compete and not have to drive hours out of the city.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that's something we can bring, and just as talking to things that we've learned over the years, like learn how to put comps together pretty well. I would, you know.
We have fun
clearly
comps.
biased, but I think they're fucking awesome.
Our Deadlift for Dogs is definitely like
so looking forward to bringing Deadlift for Dogs here.
Love that in Melbourne.
I really hope we can do it this year.
Yeah, it depends on timelines, of course.
Yeah.
But I would love for the first comp to be Deadlift for Dogs.
My dog Daisy would love to be there too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a good comp. It just, as I said before, when it came to bringing people into the sport, really easy entry for people because it's deadlifts, the least scary of the lifts for most people.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no minimum, because like when you think of a comp, like a comp, like a federated comp, and it's somebody's first comp, there's often a bit of pushback from people in terms of like, oh, you know, if I'm lifting half what other people lift, like that's embarrassing, and I don't want to be embarrassing, and you know, that's a thing that stops people. Whereas when it's for a really good cause and it's deadlift only, and it's not a competition in that sense, we found this brought in, giving people their first taste of competition, and then they've gone on to do other competitions, and it's just come full circle. So
it's good fun.
Hopefully, that'll be that would be awesome if that.
I don't know if
worked.
you've seen any of the photos, but Will has a 6-foot inflatable dog suit that he wears.
Yeah, we'll get you a 7-foot one.
Yeah, we're gonna need a big one for me.
Yeah. Well, it like blows up and you kind of waddle around and stuff. It's good fun.
Oh yeah, with the head.
If my guys are listening to this, they're going to be hounding me over that. And they're going to hold me accountable and make sure.
Yeah, they're going to go through the archives.
We'll find a suit.
Yeah.
We actually have like a little GIF that someone made of you
Callum.
in that. Was it?
It's Callum. Yeah.
Made a little GIF of you in your inflatable dog suit, like with
the meme
wiggly
lord.
arms.
he's a proper meme lord, that guy.
So what we wanted to do, and what Jordan thought would be a really good idea, is to kind of like talk people through some of the systems and stuff that we've already been through from the behind the scenes of what it's like opening a gym. Because like, we're not going to go into like the full logistics of it all, because it can get a little bit boring sometimes. But like a few of the things that the processes that we've gone through and bringing you on. So obviously there was, you know, the initial conversation of like, hey, I want to have this opportunity. Can we do this? And sort of things that stemmed from there. But, and the whole conversations around coming in as a business partner and all that sort of stuff, and the legal sort of documents that comes with, which is, that's just a lengthy process in the sense of like us having back and forths and just going over like, hey, this is kind of what we've done. This is what we've talked about. Like, how do you feel about that? And where is your vision? Like, what are you kind of wanting as a partner? And then presenting that to a solicitor to draft a shareholders agreement and stuff like that. So that in itself just takes a little bit of time. You know what I mean? Obviously from there, we've got to get the business registered. So that's going through the accountant processes and all that sort of stuff. But fortunately for us, like, you've been a client with us for many, many years now. So part of a difficult thing with bringing a coach on board is getting them familiar with your systems and services and your expectations and your standards as a new coach coming into a new business. But like yourself and Will moving forward. So you and I have had a lot of mentoring calls, like weekly calls. When was that? January we started? Yeah. So since January. And that was basically just getting you up to date with the back end systems for online coaching. So this is how we do things. This is how we communicate with people. Now it's a matter of, now that we've gone public with all this sort of stuff, it's a matter of getting those systems kind of created. So obviously you've brought on a lot of your clients into the business already, like into our software. And I think moving forward, we'll probably do a little bit more mentoring with Will and your coaching and stuff like that. That's something that you do with all of our coaches, right?
Yeah, every single week. Yeah, it'll just be about getting things the same. Even though I'm pretty sure we do things very similar. Obviously, I already trust you to do a good job and everything. It's just about us make sure that we do the same.
Yeah.
I think even though it's just good to, after being by myself for 4 years, it's just going to be good to have people to refer to and ask opinions.
100%.
And I haven't had that before, for sure. And it's just, this is just an opportunity for me to grow and learn even more wherever I can. And I can't understate how excited I am about this, not just because of the gym, but also my growth as well. So
just the opportunity as a coach to be around other coaches to bounce off. Because like sometimes, you might talk to a couple of the people in the gym. You've mentioned Anthony a few times there, of course. But sometimes it's nice just to be able to, like, Jordan and I have weekly phone calls every single week. And a lot of that's more now based around stuff like the podcast and other marketing things and bits and pieces. Like Jordan has a lot of skills in comms work and all that, as well as being an excellent coach. But we also have a lot of opportunity where we talk over, like, hey, I've got this client that's got this unique sort of, within, like, keeping confidentiality and privacy and stuff like that. But I'm like, hey, I've got this client and I think you could really learn from this experience. This is kind of what I've gone through with them. And this is how the outcomes that we've had. Like, what have you seen with some of your clients? And then, or she's like, hey, I'm having a little bit of difficulty navigating some conversations around this problem with this client. Like, it's just nice to be able to, like, bounce off in a safe place where it's private, it's confidential, that there's not going to be any, like, judgment or anything like that from someone else and stuff. So I think that's what helps coaches become better coaches as well, is just being able to openly talk to people about their problems.
Yeah, that, and then just being in an environment which you can grow, and there are people out there in which you can refer to, and coaches who are better than you. And to be a part of the Nexus team and be surrounded by so many other just highly skilled coaches, this is definitely an environment which I can see I can actually really grow now.
What is coaches with different skill sets as well? Like, you've met Jason now that has, as you've seen, quite a injury history sort of list himself.
Yes, he does.
But he's got a lot of experience being ex-army. In working with really large groups of people. So a lot of, like, conditioning based stuff, and he's done a lot of work in strongman sports and some of those things that, like, I know Kiva leans on when Kiva was doing some more stuff with like some of the team sport things and the junior development that we're looking at launching and a few other bits and pieces that, like, it's nice to be able to lean onto other people's skill sets. Like, Will's not done a lot of, like, group sort of stuff, like a lot of team sport. So
not to that size.
No. Yeah. Like Jason's working with like 50 to 100 people or whatever running stuff for. So not saying that we'll ever get to that sort of point, but it's nice to be able to, like, have different people with different skill sets.
Yeah. 100%.
We're not about those classes.
Yeah.
Classes. No, we don't need group fitness.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Maybe Pilates class.
Hey, I'm in the.
We could do Nexus Zumba.
Yeah.
I'll be down.
I don't know how well I'll do, but I can try.
It's just you dancing alone.
Hey, you were showing the boys downstairs some of your dance moves before when Jason.
Well, here they play like hard techno versus us. We're more of a rocky. Is the the average music that you'll hear in the Nexus gyms, whereas here it's just like hard techno. So it's just it's a different.
Yeah, and you can probably expect the same in the Melbourne gym. So
Hard techno.
No.
I know your vibe of music. You and
Yeah.
Will are going to concerts together.
Yes,
So
yes.
I've seen you in the mosh pit with him.
Yeah.
Seen some of the footage and stuff. So
Yeah. I'm a huge metalhead, so
Yeah.
we definitely align on that.
yes,
Yeah.
I think there's quite a few things that two of you actually, see eye to eye on and stuff. So a couple of the other things that like I've got to work on in the back end system. This is all the fun shit that like you guys don't have to worry about. You're like, chill, like, oh my God, this all just like comes together. Wow. But I've got like, the website landing page which we just designed. That's got like the expression of interest and all the email campaigns that follow through with that, getting our Gym Master software, which is the payment systems and the access into the fucking building when we have that secured, and all the emails that trigger out from so each membership has different email triggers and different information that needs to go out to them, and making sure that's all set up. So I really enjoy doing that. So you're just sitting there like, fuck, no.
So much.
Just to add to that, like up until probably the last maybe 4 months or 5 months, most of my interactions have been primarily with Will, in which obviously I've been able to learn a lot around coaching and his perspective on a lot of stuff. And then more recently with Mickey with the mentorships, and then going into nutrition and stuff. And it has been really interesting to watch how Mickey works.
Okay.
Just incredibly efficient, and just it's kind of shown me where I need to improve as well. Just really, really good on the business side of things.
Okay,
crazy good nutritionist as well. And just you're very good at taking off one hat and putting on another very, very easily. And I've said this to Kelly, my fiance, so many times over the last couple months, like just how much I respect what you do as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I just wanted to chuck that out there too.
There you go.
For sure.
What's that look for, mister?
I didn't give it a look.
No, it's nice to know that it's seen. It's nice to know that it's seen and it's appreciated, because I work fast. Like you said, you're saying I flick switches like really quickly between things. And it's funny because I actually remember a conversation I was having with Jordan, and I was like, oh, very quickly before we keep going down there, I'm just going to get and she's like, well, Mickey, I'm still back over here. Hold on, slow down for a second. I'm like, nah, it's all right. I've already taken care of that. That's done. All right, let's go back. Where are we at here? And she's like,
yeah.
I just work really fast.
Look, and it's just like, that's great. And it's just, I think part of the reason that Nexus has been so successful is like you guys are a perfect combination as well as business partners, and obviously,
he's a little bit
partners
calmer
in life
and
as
chill,
well.
and then I just come in and I'm like,
and Nexus hasn't grown into the colossal giant in powerlifting that it is without all the effort between the two of you that's gone behind the scenes. It's not something that's just come out of nowhere. And to see that in action has been a very eye-opening experience, and it's shown me how I need to improve and be better, even in terms of my organization, the way I schedule things in. Mickey's incredibly efficient with her time, and has shown me I need to be way more efficient. And in fact, I started getting up way earlier and making sure I'm getting my stuff done first thing in the morning. I'm like, okay, I'm copying everything Mickey's doing right now. So definitely learnt a lot, even in just watching how you work, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lessons from lifting.
Yes, for sure.
Think about all the best lifters are the most structured and planned.
Definitely. It's more like finding what works for you. Like, this is how I operate, and I know my system, like I know my operating, but so like people have said in the past that I have a very high standard. I have a high attention to detail. I like to think that it's not so much that I have a high standard, it's that I like to have other people reach their potential and what their standard is, and it's their operating style. So I'll make suggestions and I work in like, hey, this might work for you. Couple of weeks, nah, that's not working. Okay, let's try and find another way. But it's never like just accepting and being complacent. It's like, what are the little details that we can be doing to improve this whole environment,
Yeah.
not just as business owners or as staff, but as athletes, as like for my own clients and stuff like that. It's like, what are the little things that we can be doing that's going to have a really big return? And how can we do those better? And how can we nail them consistently so that we can then move up the priority list to other things that are then going to take you to that next level again, you know? So, and it's like shit that I drill into him all the time. Like even just recently, I've been fucking grilling him about making sure he's eating his goddamn lunch. Like, have you eaten lunch today? He's like, I have some sandwiches.
Depends on the day.
And he like gets snappy at me, and I'm like, no, I'm doing this because I'm setting this, like, this is your standard. I know that you're capable of this, and I'm making sure that you reach that standard that I know you're capable of doing, and I'm going to hold you to that standard. Yeah. So he gets short with me, but it's more like because he knows that it's coming from the right place.
So that's what makes you a great coach as well. And obviously in relationships, you want somebody who's going to push you forward and hold you to that higher standard. And it's like, I'm the same in my relationship with Kelly.
Who's an amazing person, by the way. Sweetheart.
She's amazing. And, I've been with Kelly for 12 years now. So like we're finally getting married. 11
years. So I was going to say, I've got a note in here. You're getting married in May. So very exciting time.
Yes.
Timeline.
Yep. Yeah. Well, what do you say? Good timeline. Wait 12 years.
Yeah, you need at least 10 years.
Yeah. We got married on our 10-year anniversary. So, judgment here, mate.
Yeah. Well,
Will's like, it's probably got another
we were like high school sweethearts as well. So like we've been together since we were 15.
Yeah, wow.
So, we've pretty much grown up together and we've influenced each other. And I think as we've gotten older and kind of our interests have changed and careers and all that kind of stuff, we've really helped push each other forward. And, because Kelly's going to listen to this again, I have to say thank you to Kelly because she's helped me push forward with this for so many years. And even there've been a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to the point I want to. And she has never doubted me once the entire time, pushed me through. And obviously you guys have a very similar dynamic in your relationship as well.
For us, and I say this with all of our staff and our whole team, that this is a safe place. And I want people, like, when you're struggling the most, that's when I need you to be transparent with us so that we can help. Like, if we can help. But if not, at least we can be a sounding board to at least understand kind of where you're coming from and stuff like that, and then challenge and push you when you're kind of in a place that you can, rather than pushing and poking the bear when you're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Or if you're not able to do certain things. So yeah, I feel like people have got a really good insight as to who you are, and I definitely have, even now, just hearing different sides and stuff like that. Is there anything else that you want to ask, Wilbo? Anything else you want to say about Melbourne and all
No, I don't think so. No, I think we've got. I mean, over the months ahead, there'll be a lot more. So
you're excited
right now. I don't want to say things that may or may not be true.
Yeah, set people up for
yeah.
And then they just get disappointed. It's
I can confidently say that it'll be fucking amazing. So,
under promise and over deliver.
Surprise! There's 3 locations.
Fuck! What are you doing to me? Hold on, let me just get the one baby out first, which is also coming around the time that Melbourne's coming.
We've all picked a really good time to do this.
Yes, right after you get married, after the honeymoon. You'll be chill though. You'll be fine.
Yeah. You're having a baby. I'm getting married.
Yeah. Well,
we're trying to do this gym as well.
Yeah. It's all good timing. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I'm just really, really excited. And I think I'm just, especially after yesterday, just seeing the response, I think it was really kind of when it hit me, just transparent. Like, we've been working on this for about 12 months now, stockpiling equipment and talking through it all and everything. And, but yesterday was kind of the first moment where everything dropped. Where I was like, oh crap, this is actually happening. So, and I'm the kind of person where I don't get super, super excited up until I'm in the thick of it. And then yesterday, I got excited. Christmas came early. I'm still excited. So, I'm
finally got the dipping of the toe wasn't there. Now you're stepping in.
If anyone knows me, I'm like, I am incredibly passionate about what I do. And that's kind of like my main driving force is just how passionate I am around it. And, you know, if you've seen me at Apex, you see what I do, like, you know that I'm going to work really freaking hard on this gym and make sure that I provide everybody with an environment that they can be proud and just feel really comfortable in and feel like a family.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to supply.
Yeah.
And just like a team.
Yeah. And also some nice equipment too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap it up there. And we'll put your socials and all that sort of stuff in the notes of all this so people can go out and find you. But if you are in the Melbourne area and you are interested in finding out more about this space, we do have a landing page where you can put an expression of interest in. There's just a little email that goes out first. And obviously, everyone that puts their name in that email will be getting the information firsthand before it kind of goes out to the public. So if this is of any interest to you whatsoever, I would highly advise go to nexusperformance.com.au/Melbourne and put an expression of interest in. You don't even have to sign up. Like, I'm not going to force, I don't want someone that doesn't want to be there. You know what I mean? But if this is something that
Just want to see what's going on.
Yeah, you want to stay up to date with some of the behind the scenes stuff, that's where we'll be sharing it a lot more as the things unfold. So make sure you put your contact details down there and stay tuned.
Then hopefully
for more.
around mid-year we can start taking people through.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's do it.
All right.
Done.